Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sansad TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. From being part of the fragile five a decade ago to now standing tall as the world's fourth largest economy, India's growth story is nothing short of transformational. With a $4 trillion economy, India has officially overtaken Japan. Only the United States, China and Germany are ahead of us now. And if things go as planned, we will be the third largest economy in the next 2.5 to 3 years.
Are the fourth largest economy as I speak. We are a $4 trillion economy as I speak. And this is not my data, this is IMF data. India today is larger than Japan. So it's only the United States, China and Germany which are larger. And if we stick to what is being planned, what is being thought through, it's a matter of another 2.5 to 3 years, we would become the third largest economy. And in this, the reason for the Prime Minister giving this call is this is a long haul and we have to do it for about 25 years. States are fundamental. Be it industrial development, be it services, be it agriculture, be it human capital, everything has to be done in states.
The momentum of growth is real, from rural growth to tech innovation, from policy reforms to global leadership. India is not stopping. As per the IMF Project Stable Growth for India and NITI Aayog charts a bold vision of a $30 trillion economy by 2047. We are going to focus on the road ahead, the big picture shaping our future. To talk about this vision and the road to 2047, I am delighted to welcome on this edition of Perspective two distinguished guests. So let me begin the program by introducing them to you. Professor Surendra Kumar, Delhi School of Economics. Professor, glad to have you with us on this broadcast. Also pleased to welcome Dr. Ranjeet Mehta, CEO and Secretary General, PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Mehta, always a pleasure to welcome you on our programs. So, Professor, let me have the first word from you. So from being infamously ranked among the fragile five to now powering past Japan to become the world's fourth largest economy. So what, according to you, have been the key turning points in India's growth story?
Yes, we can say that having this milestone means being the fourth largest economy in the world. That's a great milestone we have achieved. If we go back, say this 20-30 years back, generally in the class, what seems to us that Japan economy was like a dream economy in terms of the productivity, in terms of the science. But today we are living in that milestone. So in that way, it's a great achievement. And we can say that the credit for these milestones goes to the current economic policies, especially in this last decade. We have progressed a lot. And here what we can say that during this last decade, these economic reforms, they were the major contributor to achieve this milestone. Because during that period, this last decade, it's not just that we have adopted new reforms or new areas, even we have cleaned up our economy. That's a major factor that we can see. Along with that, within this economy, means rather than just as conventionally we used to say that just depends on the conventional sectors. But even during this period, we have reformed and have great progress in new and emerging areas like defense. So we can say today Indian economy is fourth largest economy in terms of the economy. It's the fourth largest economy, we can say, even in terms of, say, global power.
Right.
And Indian economy has today, we can say in this last decade or so, we have progressed so much. As a result, our competitiveness, our innovative indexes, they are quite high. But still, we have to, means we should not get satisfied with it, and we should aspire to be, of course, in a couple of years, we will be the third largest economy. But now is the time to think that we also, we can say, put our milestones in terms of achieving, in terms of the per capita.
Absolutely. So we'll talk about the road ahead, how we can sustain this momentum going forth. But Mr. Mehta, how would you define this moment in India's journey towards becoming a Viksit Bharat? And what factors would you like to attribute to this success?
So in a historic first, I think India has surged past Japan to to become the new engine of global economic growth by becoming the fourth largest economy in the world. And let me just tell you that this extraordinary rise from an emerging economy to an economic superpower is a living proof of our strategic reforms, innovative policies, and fearless leadership of Prime Minister Modi, which has ignited the nation's potential and reshaped the global economic order. And to begin with, I think the biggest reform initially, what it is the digital transformation. Taking the initial, when Prime Minister Modi took over as the Prime Minister of India, then in 2015, much ahead of the time, he had launched Digital India. I think this jam trinity, that is Jandhan, Aadhaar, and mobile, this has transformed the governance, the service delivery, and inclusion in our country. There are more than 50 crore people who are connected and who are empowered. They have the Janadhan account today. I think this was the transformational step at that time. And you can just see that our UPI, we are the world leader as far as digital transformation is concerned, that we have seen that how UPI has become a real power in the hands of the Indians, in the hands of the people who are whether he or she lives in a village or in a city. I think they are digitally empowered.
Absolutely.
This is one transformation that has empowered people. And the second, I would say, is the structural reform that had taken place, that is GST, bankruptcy code, and a labor code. In 2017, when GST was launched, what that has done is that has brought the economy into formal sector. It has, we had a very scattered MSME sector. We had more than 65 million MSMEs, but very few of them were in the formal sector. So what the GST had done is it has really got them in the formal sector, and you can see that how this seamless connectivity has really seen that these goods and services, how they are transported all over the country, and the travel time has reduced, the ease of doing business has really improved, and this is a significant step. And third very important thing in this direction was the infrastructure push.
Yes.
We have seen that how Modi governments, especially focus on infrastructure, has really, now the infrastructure what we have today, it is in making to a $10 trillion economy, maybe by 2030 or maybe by 2032, something like that. So I think that these are the steps. The infrastructure push has really, fueled the public investment in the country, and it has created a lot of jobs, whether it is a railway, whether it is these are airports, ports, or national roads. And we are the second largest road network in the world. And the fourth thing I would say is the startup ecosystem, the Skill India, how it has empowered young people. Today we have a demographic dividend. More than 65% people are young in our country. And you can see that we are the third largest startup ecosystem in the world. When 2014, when 2016, the Startup India was launched, that time we only had around 400 registered startups in our country. But
absolutely.
Today,
so I'll come back to you and understand how we can further empower our youth and make them drivers of the transformation that will lead us eventually to becoming a developed nation by 2047. But thank you for elaborating the multiple factors which have come together to enable this kind of a remarkable growth for India. You mentioned the focus on manufacturing, exports, also digitalization, GST, capital expenditure push for infrastructure, etc. Professor, help simplify these numbers for us and our viewers. So, for instance, what we've seen in just the last 10 years is we doubled our GDP. In 2015, the nominal GDP was around $2,103.6 billion. Come 2025, this number has gone up to $4,271.9 billion. That's over 100% growth in just one decade. So break it up for us. How has India managed to do that?
Okay, so we have doubled our, not only we can say this aggregate GDP, even in terms of the per capita GDP also, that's almost doubled in that. If you go back to 2013-14, it was around, you can say, less than $1,400 per year. And now we can say it's around $2,800. That kind of GDP estimates are there. So during this period, we have doubled our per capita GDP, as well as we can say this aggregate figures are also in that. And here, as Dr. Mehta was explaining, if we talk about this financial inclusion, so here, if we see the figures in 2014-15, that time figure was, we can say, around 40% or so. And now this financial inclusion in the country is almost, we can say, at this saturation point. That has doubled. Similarly, if we see this formalization of the economy, we can say still there exists a large number of small micro firms in the country, but many firms have come into, we can say, from this informal sector to formal sector. So that's why what we can say, due to this JAM, Trinity and GST, in the economy, formalization has increased as means we can say at a great speed. That's happening. And when it's happening at a great speed, as a result, it's not just, we can say, the per capita income or growth rates, even this government revenues, they are increasing at a higher rate, much higher rate in that. So as a result of this increase in government revenues, government is getting the scope to spend the money on, we can say, this creating infrastructure. So in that way, it is creating multiplier effects in the economy. So as a result, we can say our macroeconomy is growing, employment is growing. If we say that this unemployment rate in India, we can say it's one of the lowest. During the COVID period, it was around 7 to 8% unemployment rate, and which, if you see this current PLFS surveys, it has come down around 3% or so. So what we can say, this unemployment rate in India at present is more or less is comparable to developed countries. So in that way, what we can say, during this period, due to these reforms, as a result, we have achieved saturations in most of the social welfare schemes. We have formalized the economy. As a result, government revenue is tremendously increasing. We are spending on public infrastructure, and this public infrastructure, not only we say this physical infrastructure, but also the digital infrastructure. We have this NEP, National Education Policy. So as a result, we are upskilling our youths, creating new employment opportunity, and the economy is growing in that. But still, we need to do much more in the coming years so that we can achieve this milestone of a developed economy by 2047.
Absolutely.
And for that, India needs not just to grow, you can see this 6.5 or 6% in that range. We have to increase our growth rates to, we say this 8 to 9%, something like that.
Sure. So
and
how can we sustain that momentum? Let me get in a word from Dr. Mehta. Dr. Mehta, the icing on the cake, because for now we're talking about the milestone that we've achieved. And in just a decade, the transformational story has been remarkable. India will continue to be the world's fastest growing large economy in the coming years as well. So the IMF data says India will grow at 6.5% in both FY 2025 and FY 2026. But for us to keep rising, What sustained economic reforms do we need, and especially in areas like, say, governance, infrastructure, manufacturing, also education, capital access? So a lot has been done, but a lot needs to be done to sustain that momentum.
Yeah, definitely. You see, for any economy to grow, first of all, India has a 1.4 billion people. So 1.4 billion people means we are the most populous country in the world.
Yes.
So it's a consumption-driven economy. Any country in the world, even during the COVID or in last 7, 8 years, you've seen that India remains the most attractive destination for investment. Today, people invest in any country. First, they see the political stability. We can see that in India, the political stability is actually very, very strong. Second is the market. So India, we have a huge market. When people set up their factories here, their plants here, they can see that India itself is a very, very large market. And third is we have a very strong macroeconomic indicators. Look at our inflation, look at our FDI, how people are investing in our country. So this and the kind of reforms that have been done, and our government is very, very proactive. Today we have seen that not only the central government but also the state governments are coming forward. I think there's an overall ecosystem in the country is very, very upbeat. And look at the exports. And we have a target of $2 trillion exports by 2030.
Yes.
And the way we have really taken certain steps in this export promotion, and they are definitely bound to happen. Now, look at the renewable energy. I mean, it's not that we are just growing. We want to grow responsibly. We have a target of 500 gigawatt of renewable energy by 2030. Just imagine that in 2010, when the solar mission was launched, that time the target of 20 gigawatt was there by 2022. However, when Prime Minister Modi took over, then he had set up a very, very ambitious target of 100 gigawatt of solar power by 2022, and today it is a reality. We have already crossed 180 gigawatt of installed capacity as far as renewable energy concerned, and we are marching towards achieving 500 gigawatt by 2030. So green growth has also been our focus, because if you look at the overall ecosystem in the world today, we just don't have to grow, but we have to grow responsibly.
Absolutely.
So India is making strides there also. So with our population, with the young people that we have, and the kind of leadership we have, I think that I have no doubt in my mind what Prime Minister has galvanized people. His words and his plans, his vision has ignited the industry to be Viksit Bharat by 2047. I think that by NITI Aayog chair also, CEO NITI Aayog also said that by $30 trillion economy by 2047. However, PHDCCI had come out with the report that India will be $34 trillion economy by 2047. And in this direction, the way look at the entrepreneurship development, how our young people, they are coming into startups, and how the startup ecosystem has grown in our country. When more than 200,000 people are already registered at startups.
Right.
And we have a strong MSMEs, more than 65 million MSMEs. And with the government new definition of MSMEs, that up to 500 crore turnover, any company which has, they will still be coming into MSME. That means they will get more priority lending. They'll get those special benefits. That means government is very, very serious about those companies who want to grow up from there. I think that all these, enabling ecosystem, all these enabling schemes the government push will definitely help the industry to achieve more, thereby India growing as per the target. And very soon, today we are fourth largest economy. I think that in next 2 years or so, we'll be the third largest economy and will be the superpower like super economic power in the world.
Certainly,
And
2.5 to 3 years is the time frame that the CEO of NITI Aayog has given, and if all goes well, we will be overtaking Germany as well to become the third largest economy. Taking on from what Dr. Mehta said, Professor, I'd like to come back to you. Our Viksit Bharat framework ensures that our growth is not just faster, not just sustainable, but also fairer, which bridges regional disparities and creates opportunities even at the grassroots level. So help us and our viewers understand what effective measures have been undertaken in the last 10 years to ensure that that growth is also fairer and it takes along everyone, and so that nobody is left behind.
Yes. Look, when we say developed economy, how we are defining it? At the global level, just we define in terms of the per capita income, governance, and infrastructure in these three terms. But in India's case, we are not confining to these three parameters. We are expanding it. As our Prime Minister said that when we say developed India, it doesn't mean that just you have a higher per capita income. Even every hand, it should be well occupied. Means we are interested to create productive employment in the economy, and to create this productive employment, there this MSME, small industries, they will be the major engine of growth in that. Along with that, there we want to develop our capital markets. They should be efficiently working. And on this MSME fund, if we say that that can be the real engine of an inclusive, fair growth for the India, and this target of achieving the growth rate of 8 and 9%, it's contingent on the growth rate of the small and these MSMEs, that you can say. And at present, if you see the situation, in India, we have more than 97% farms which are in this category. More than 97% farms, they are in this category of MSMEs. And most of our MSMEs, their situation is what? They came into existence, they stay for long, and they are more or less not growing at the speed at which they can grow. So that's why here we need to focus more for this inclusive growth on the growth of the MSMEs.
Right.
And here also one point also to note that in our MSMEs, most of this, we are seeing the entrepreneurs, but they are not entrepreneurs. If we try to see at the micro levels, they are working there because they are not having the alternates. So that's why here for this fair growth, we need to focus on the how we can say that our MSMEs, they becomes dynamic. They not just exist, they should grow. That should be one fundamental. Second, here our youths, we need to focus continuously on their skilling, upskilling. That process we have to continue because technologies are changing quite rapidly.
Absolutely. You're right, Professor. And Dr. Mehta did mention this point about including the youth, making them drivers of the change. He spoke about the demographic dividend, the advantage that India has. Dr. Mehta, India currently has the world's youngest population. The question now is, how do we turn this demographic dividend into a development dividend? How do we ensure that we do not miss this moment? It's a ticking clock. We have to empower our youth to be the builders of this new India.
I think that, a startup ecosystem that has been built in our country has already galvanized the youth who are ready to, be the job creators, not job seekers. And secondly, the manufacturing push that has been given to manufacturing sector. Today, we are the net exporters of the mobile phone. However, 10 years before, we were all importing those mobile phones. This shows that the PLI scheme that announced by Government of India to give a push to the manufacturing sector has really, really worked. And secondly, our the skilling program, the Skill India program, which has also empowered a lot of people. And today, as you rightly said, we have to empower our youth. Youth can be empowered by creating not only jobs, but creating the employment, innovation, ecosystem in our country. When we have that innovation ecosystem in our country, and that starts right from the first step that government has taken is the national education policy, where the education policy has been made with the need of the 21st century, because we have to do away with the old education policy. Ultimately, the youth who comes from schools, they need to be the innovators. Absolutely. They need to be the contributors to the economy of the country, and they can do so only by doing a lot of innovations in any field today. Look at the AI or robotics. We need to see that how our youth can take that leap forward in this sector as well. We have seen in defense sector how India's capability has really increased, how India is even exporting our weapons to various other countries. I think these are the things which are very, very promising, and which will empower our youths, which will also involve them. And the overall ecosystem in our country has been such inspiring that youth are entering into it, and this is the right way to go. I think the way the overall policies are focused on empowering the youth, empowering the entrepreneurship, empowering the innovative spirit of our people, and this all is building up to making a Viksit Bharat by 2047.
Certainly, that journey of empowerment and transformation has brought us to celebrating this milestone today of India becoming the fourth largest economy. Professor, I'll take one last comment from you on what reforms or shifts in governance would you believe will now be more crucial in the next 5 to 10 years to keep India on track? And secondly, if you had to give one message to India's youngsters who are watching this show about their role in shaping a Viksit Bharat, what would it be?
Yes. So let's take the second question first. Yes, youth is and can be the real engine of this growth. And for that, they have to be the real entrepreneur and innovator. Right. As Mr. Mehta also said that. And for that, this national education policy, which we initiated a few years back only, which I adopted that can be a game changer. Similarly, our MSMEs, that we have to make dynamic. And for that, these labor reforms, though many states are adopting it, this labor code which we passed long back, but not implemented, that we need to implement it in, we can say, real terms in that. Similarly, these judicial reforms, they are also fundamentals in that, because many times due to this, you can see the delay in justice delivery, that also causes a big hindrance in the growth. So that's why these judicial reforms, administrative reforms also still pending. There also we need to put our foot ahead in that. Along with that, means given all these areas, we will be able to increase or enhance our total factor productivity. And in any country's growth, total factor productivity along with the investment growth, these are the two fundamental sources of the growth. And if we take forward this reform process, no doubt, means what this our per capita GDP at present is around 2,800, and in this next we can see the 20 years we will cross certainly this 14,000 marks in that.
Absolutely. So with that, we'll have to wind up the conversation. What's commendable is that despite the uncertain global environment, India has managed to thrive. The need now is to just sustain the momentum, accelerate the efforts so that our vision to becoming a Viksit Bharat by 2047 can be realized. Thank you once again to both our guests for joining us on the program, sharing your thoughts and views with us and our viewers. To you viewers, thank you very much for your time as well.
To watch more programs of Sansad TV, subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to like and share them.